There's nothing better than seeing an actor brimming with enthusiasm, energy, and passion for a role. Most of the time, it shows through, and the end product benefits as a result. Conversely, it's often obvious when an actor doesn't much care for the work they're doing, either churning out another mindless sequel or remake for the easy money, or sometimes appearing for more nefarious means. These 10 actors were manhandled by the studio system and bullied into appearing in films either due to contractual obligations, being guilt-tripped by a filmmaker, or some more bizarre actions that frankly defy any business sense whatsoever. I'm Rue from WhatCulture.com, and these are 10 actors bullied into roles they never really wanted. 10. Emily Blunt, Gulliver's Travels. This one must really hurt. Emily Blunt was all set to play Black Widow, a role that eventually went to Scarlett Johansson in Iron Man 2, which naturally would have led to her appearing in the 5th highest grossing film of all time, The Avengers. Fox, however, were up to their usual bastardry and decided to activate an option they had with the actress dating back to her work on The Devil Wears Prada. So, what role were the studio so desperate for her to take? Well, she wound up playing Princess Mary in the awful Jack Black vehicle Gulliver's Travels. Though Scar Joe excels in the Black Widow role, we'll forever be left wondering what Blunt would have been like, and which poor sap would have been saddled with this terrible role instead. Still, Blunt was a sport, and looking at her enthusiastic performance, you wouldn't know she was held at gunpoint by Fox. 9. Pierce Brosnan, Remington Steele. In his early career, Pierce Brosnan must have been counting his lucky stars that he landed the Remington Steele gig, though his role in the popular romantic detective show ended up being a grand source of anguish for the actor, who ended up having to drop out of his original placement in the James Bond franchise because of it. Personal choice of Albert R. Broccoli, it seemed like smooth sailing for Brosnan in 1986, as Remington Steele had just been cancelled and he could seamlessly glide from one job to the next. NBC, however, had other plans. The publicity of Brosnan being announced as Bond allowed NBC to crassly renew the show, and Brosnan had to decline the role as he was, yes, contractually obliged to appear on the TV series. Timothy Dalton instead filled in for 2 films, and in 1995, Brosnan finally got to live the dream by playing James Bond, in what were admittedly the Spy's worst entries on the whole. 8 and 7. Kelly Clarkson and Justin Guarini. Guarini. Kelly Clarkson and Justin Guarini. From Justin to Kelly. To be fair, prior to this film, Kelly Clarkson and Justin Guarini were not actors, but simply singers who found fame as respective winner and runner-up of the first season of American Idol. They were definitely forced into it. Kelly Clarkson specifically spoke out, saying they were contractually obliged to make the film off the back of their success on the TV show. Singers making a romantic comedy musical film. Could be worse, right? Well, the film's inane plotting and terrible dance choreography ensured that it bombed at the box office, earned a paltry 10% on Rotten Tomatoes, and it's now regarded as one of the worst films of all time. The ultimate case of studio excess. It didn't exactly help either of their careers get off to a roaring start, but at least they came off as figures of sympathy in the corporate machine. 6. Edward Norton, The Italian Job. Edward Norton is known for 2 things. A, being picky about which roles he ultimately accepts, and B, being a pain in the arse to work with. Still, we mostly have to come down on his side here, even if his pickiness is apparently what caused him to wind up cast as the forgettable, moustached villain in the dull remake of the crime caper classic, The Italian Job. Norton had signed a 3-picture deal with Paramount, but it seems he spent too long rejecting projects after the enormous success of Primal Fear, for which he garnered his first Oscar nomination, as he wound up having to star in something that he was ardently against appearing in. The contract won out, and Norton was railroaded by executives and lawyers, no doubt, into briefly embarrassing himself as the dull, unenthusiastic bad guy in a dull, unenthusiastic film. Norton didn't even bother to promote the flick, but still made it clear to just about anyone prepared to listen that he was cast in it against his will. 5. Anne Hathaway, The Princess Diaries 2. We're not saying that Joel Schumacher's The Phantom of the Opera was any good, but it's preferable to starring in another squeaky clean bubblegum children's film when an actor wants to actually get their serious career moving. Anne Hathaway had to drop out of performing in Phantom as its filming would have overlapped with shooting The Princess Diaries 2 Royal Engagement. To be fair to Hathaway, she acts the pro and gives the role her all, which probably helped contribute to its impressive box office performance, even if the film wasn't critically acclaimed. Schumacher's film didn't fare much better, but at least it would have helped signal the direction of Hathaway's career. Thankfully, she soon course-corrected herself by appearing in the likes of Brokeback Mountain and Rachel Getting Married. The rest, as they say, is history. 4 and 3, Kathleen Turner and Michael Douglas. The Jewel of the Nile. 1984's Romancing the Stone was undoubtedly one of the best films of that year, helping to launch Robert Zemeckis' hugely successful career, as well as reaffirming Michael Douglas' stature as a leading man and making Kathleen Turner someone everybody in Hollywood was talking about. Inevitably, the studio executives began seeing dollar signs, and aware that their 2 leads were contracted for a sequel, should the studio so wish, they pressed ahead with the vastly inferior 1985 smash hit The Jewel of the Nile, which was panned by critics. Dougal and Turner were both pushed into taking the role, and when Turner attempted to back out, she was threatened with an enormous $25 million lawsuit from Fox. At least they were in it together, eh? The result isn't great, but it does benefit from their chemistry. Had Turner been able to back out, one can only imagine that the film would have been a whole lot worse. 2. Everyone in Movie 43. Alright, so we're sort of cheating here, given that Movie 43 stars about 50 people, but it was widely acknowledged in press interviews with director Peter Farrelly that most of the cast, including Hugh Jackman, Kate Winslet, Gerard Butler, Richard Gere, Halle Berry and Emma Stone, were pressured into doing the film on their days off. Shot over almost 5 years, Farrelly and the other directors would harass actors to shoot shorts whenever they had downtime between whatever else they were filming, and given their brevity, they could easily be filmed in just a day or 2. Perhaps getting the worst of it were Winslet and Jackman, who shot their scene first and were exploited as a promotional tool to rope in the rest of the talent. After all, if it's alright for Oscar-winning talent like Kate Winslet, well, why the hell not? The result is an embarrassment for everyone involved. Hugh Jackman plays a man with testicles attached to his chin, Halle Berry dips her breasts in guacamole, and Gerard Butler plays an angry leprechaun. 1. Keanu Reeves, The Watcher. Depressing and frustrating though a lot of these stories are, none are as downright ridiculous as the circumstances that led to Keanu Reeves starring as a serial killer in Joe Charbanic's widely panned thriller, The Watcher. Reeves ended up receiving a Razzie nomination for his work, but it's no surprise when you learn how he landed the role. Reeves claims he verbally agreed to a small role in the film, but one of his friends apparently forged his signature on the contract, which pipped him up for a much larger role, something he didn't bother to argue against due to the time-consuming legal battle that would ensue. Owing to the original small size of his role, Reeves ended up being paid a pittance for the movie, was widely panned for his performance, and unsurprisingly did nothing to promote the terrible film.
Hey guys, thanks for watching the video. Don't forget to subscribe below, and if you're looking for more content like this, then try a few things that are floating about around my ears. It might be fun. I can't promise it though, but it might be.